The Future Symphony Institute was something that came to me over many years of touring the world, playing concerts, and observing how classical music was doing in many different cultures. I'd played in Mexico as my first real job, and then after that I went on to Israel, where we toured all around the world. And I was so enthralled with the way all these different peoples and countries around the world were so invested in classical music. It had such great meaning, and it really struck me that while classical music was universally loved around the world, that there was a real danger that I'd been hearing about. Many people have been telling me for many years, since my beginning as a student, that classical music was in danger. And I thought that this was a subject worth studying by serious people, and it required, a serious effort to look at what is classical music going to do in the future as the world keeps changing seemingly at exponential rates. Right here in Rome, there was a movement called the Slow Food Movement that was launched in a protest on the Spanish Steps by a guy named Carlo Petrini. And it was a sort of an agrarian revolt against fast food. So he and his other protesters, they had plates of penny pasta, and they had a manifesto, and were declaring a new movement for the sanctity of food and eating in Italy. And he really, even though he was a self-described Marxist, Petrini was really onto something that really wasn't a Marxist idea. He managed to have his finger on the pulse of what many people were feeling, is that the world was moving ever faster and faster, and that the world of eating was going along with this, and that what used to be something that was something that brought people together in a very slow fashion, cooking at home, eating together, a connection with the farmers and the source of the food, localism, which we call it now. These were things that were vanishing, particularly from the Italian family life. And it occurred to me that this was the perfect metaphor for what was happening with classical music, is that the classical music community felt this compulsion to try to keep up with all these technological innovations, the increasing speed of progress. Whereas classical music, which is my assertion, is not really part of this. It doesn't need to try to keep up. In fact, that the great demand for classical music in the future will be that it is a slow experience where time actually even seems to sit still, and where something where we take ourselves out of the rat race and the speed. And when you think about the goals that the slow food people had, whereas to bring food back to artisanal, small scale, authentic food experiences, connected with the land or the traditions. Classical music also has this opportunity to reimagine itself, not as a modernist, futuristic experience, but one rooted in traditions. Back in the day, there was the French company Club Med used to advertise their vacations as the antidote to civilization, and I like to think of that classical music could be the antidote to accelerated progressive futurism.